Across Newcastle and the Hunter, 2NURFM 103.7. It is that time we take a look at some of the things happening in the world of science. We do that with our Professor of Science out of the University of Newcastle, John O'Connor, who's made very busy at your place. You've got dogs over, you've got people installing air conditioning. You've had to come in here to have a spell, I think.
Just to get away from all the racket, that's right.
And after this, a very long lunch and a long drive that might get you back home by around 7 o'clock. If we're blowing the plan now, mate. Today we're heading into the insect world and the world of locusts, and who would have thought that they may be able to do something very special, and which may lead to some saving of some lives.
It is a bit of a surprise. I mean, this is around the ability they've discovered that locusts can differentiate between healthy human cells and cancerous cells. And of course, this is the sort of thing that we really want to know. If you can catch cancer early, you have a much better chance of curing it. You know, the outcomes are much better. This has previously been demonstrated with dogs with some cancers. They've been able to pick up the difference. And it comes about because of our breath. Out of our breath comes what are known as volatile organic compounds. Well, you know about bad breath, that's the sort of volatile.
That's as volatile as we need. But
why are you sitting so far away from me? Yeah, so volatile organic compounds are the compounds that come out normally from your breath. This part of your body, and it's been shown that locusts are particularly sensitive to not only cancer cells. They tried mouth cancers, but they actually identified 3 different types of mouth cancers. And how do they know the locusts have this ability? What they do is they've done a lot of work on the smell capability of locusts. I'm not quite sure why locusts are such an interesting group, but what they do is they attach electrodes to a locust's brain and then expose them to these smells. Now, in almost no time at all, fraction of a second, the brain responds to cancer smells. And this indicates that there's some signalling pathway there that is very valuable to us. Now, that combined with the fact that dogs do this as well means that there are smells that we can tap into. The problem is tapping into it. So the next stage is to actually develop the ability to go from knowing that this happens to then identifying what molecules are the really sensitive ones, and then incorporating it into a medical device. So this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow.
No, but I mean, it is a very fascinating development, and I'm sure this is something we'll be hearing about down the road. But just on that, one of the microbiologists from Michigan State University on that saying, look, if we're successful, cancer will be a treatable disease. Now, that's a pretty big claim. So obviously confident that they're on the right track here.
It is, and as I said, they've so far identified that it can distinguish between 3 different mouth cancers. This gives them optimism that there are many other types of cancers that potentially it might be able to differentiate. Whether it's just constrained to mouth, I don't know, but and in fact they don't know either. But certainly the fact that, as I said before, dogs can identify some cancers, and they were not just mouth; they were from other parts of the body. So it means that there's a rich resource in what we have in our breath when we breathe out. It's not just carbon dioxide and water vapor. It's basically a window into what's happening inside us. And if we can tap into this with a really sensitive probe, something that just picks up the very earliest stages of any cancer, you have the chance of first identifying that it's there, secondly, picking it up very early, and then avoiding the possibility that it will actually migrate to other organs. Because once it starts doing that, the problem of eradicating it
you're playing
really
catch
becomes,
up, really. Yeah,
you're playing catch up, and you've got many sites that you would have to worry about.
The thing that I find more intriguing on this is, you mentioned we do this with dogs as well. I can understand the concept if we can sort of attach something to Fido, but locusts aren't exactly the hugest creatures out there. How is that going to happen?
Well, it's going to have, as I said, they've been studying the smell ability of locusts for some time. What they do is they have, they sort of lock it in place so that it doesn't move, but they attach incredibly fine wires. They bring them in with microscopes so they watch what they're doing, and they bring it in and they attach it to a particular point on the brain itself.
Again, very small.
Very small, but with a microscope you can see down to a very small size. And the thing that I find intriguing is locusts are reacting to this smell So there must have been some evolutionary advantage to be able to pick up this smell. Now, I'm sure they're not wandering around the planet trying to find humans with mouth cancer. It intrigues me that there must be another smell out in nature somewhere that it's advantageous for them to pick up, which is very much like the volatile organic compound that we breathe out when we have mouth cancer.
Either it's the thing that they need, like food, or things they need to stay away with from, like a predator, maybe.
Yeah, birds that have mouth cancer.
That too. All right, look, well, it's something that's a super development there with the world of locusts. John O'Connor, as always, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
There he is, our Professor of Science from the University of Newcastle, John O'Connor at 2NURFM 103.7.
A broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.